Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever the case may be. It's time for World History with the one and only, the person who knows the most about history to some degree, especially world history. I'm Coach Hughes. Welcome in, former coach. Used to coach softball long time ago. Long story. We won't get into that today. So, this is our final lecture on our series of lectures talking about the religion of Christianity. Again, when we talk about religion, we are putting on the historical lens here as to what you guys are getting and listening to. I'm not trying to convert you to any one particular religion or saying one religion is better than the other. That's for you to decide. So, we have talked a lot in this series of lectures on Christianity. We've talked about really the rise of Christianity from in 64 AD to Christians being persecuted, crucified, and killed, mistreated in the Roman Empire, to I think in 313, the Edict of Milan comes along and says, Christianity, it's legal now in the Roman Empire. And not 100 years later, Emperor Theodosius makes it the official religion of Rome. Kind of like the official sponsor of the NFL is Pizza Hut Pizza. Pizza Hut. It's some good pizza. So, I don't know. It used to be Papa John's. I think it's Pizza Hut still. I think they had a little falling out with Papa John's and they switched over to Pizza Hut. Long story. Back to Christianity. So we have the rise of Christianity going from people being killed to the official religion of the Roman Empire under Emperor Theodosius here. So that's kind of how we're going to start out today and talk a little bit more in depth about Christianity. We also talked about the hierarchy, the pyramid structure there. Of course, Christianity modeled after the Roman government because you want to go with the best. And at that point, the Roman Empire was the best. So the religion of Christianity being modeled there after the Roman Empire. So let's talk a little bit about the Byzantine Church because we left off talking about the Roman Catholic Church and how the Bishop of Rome, the Pope, eventually kind of just gained more and more power over the other bishops until he was kind of the unofficial head of the Catholic Church there until he was really the head of the Catholic Church. So let's talk about the Byzantine Church. This would take place in Constantinople, the eastern part of the Roman Empire, which would become the Byzantine Empire. Now, the Greek-speaking Christians in the East, well, they developed their own brand, their own form of Christianity, and it became known as the Eastern Orthodox Church, where in the West, you had the Roman Catholic Church. So you got two brands of Christianity. If you think about it in sports team, Southeastern Conference football, you have the Crimson Tide, the Georgia Bulldogs, Florida Gators, and then they even break off into the Eastern and Western divisions in football. So you have a different brand, a different flavor, if you would, of this religion we call Christianity. The Byzantines believed their emperor represented Jesus Christ on earth. They did not say that he was Jesus Christ on earth. Like if you go back to the ancient Egyptians, they believed that the Pharaoh to be God on earth. The Byzantines didn't go to this extreme. The emperor appointed the patriarch of Constantinople, which would be the equivalent or the equal to the Pope in the Roman Catholic Church. And the patriarch of Constantinople would be the leader of the Eastern Orthodox Church, very similar to how the Pope was the leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, different parts of the Eastern Orthodox Church argued over the use of icons, images, statues of Christian holy people like Christ, Mary, the saints, or any other Christian holy people. In fact, in AD 726, Emperor Leo III, ignore his eyes, it's kind of creepy. Leo III ordered all icons be removed from churches. No images, no statues, nothing in churches. We're not here to worship inanimate objects, but the real word that came in the form of the Bible there. Now, people who carried out these orders from Leo III were known as iconoclasts or image breakers. Yeah, what you gonna do when the 24-inch pythons are on you? Ooh, little Hulk Hogan moment there. But if you went out and you carried out Leo III his orders and you broke these images, these statues, you were an iconoclast. Now, the Byzantines did not accept the Pope's claim that he was the head of all Christian churches, including you over there in the Eastern Roman Empire, known as the Byzantine Empire or the Eastern Orthodox Church. So the people in the East, they were not buying it. No, 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 no. No, Pope, you're not in charge of us. It's the Patriarch of Constantinople that's our leader of our church. And after stopping an invasion of Italy by the Franks, the Pope named Charlemagne, a Frankish king, as Byzantine Empire, or emperor, I should say, not empire. Now, the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church eventually things got so heated between them, they excommunicated each other, meaning, excommunication is the declaration that a person or group no longer belongs to their church. So things got so heated, the Eastern Orthodox group said, no, Pope, you're not in charge of our church. And then the Roman Catholic Church said, no, the Patriarch of Constantinople is not the leader of our church, it's the Pope. They got so heated that you can't sit with us anymore. A line from Mean Girls, if you are paying any attention. No, you can't be a part of our church. No, you can't kick us out of our church. No, you can't kick us out of our church because we're going to kick you out of our church. Oh, no, you can't kick us out of our church because we kick you out of our church. It's kind of that thing, that mentality. They exed each other. They excommunicated each other. Now, Circle H, very important. The split of the two churches in this case was known as a schism. Now, Christianity helped achieve order after the fall of Rome and the Western side. Remember, the Roman Empire was split into two parts, the Western Roman Empire and then the Eastern Roman Empire. So you had two parts. It was the fall of Rome and the Western part that fell, and then the eastern part became known as the Byzantine Empire. Well, after the fall, there's a lot of chaos, madness, I say madness, a lot of madness going on. And it was Christianity that kind of helped level the playing field, cool a lot of nerves, and help really achieve order after the fall. After all, Christianity was modeled, their church structure was modeled after the Roman Empire when it was working really good. Now, religious men called monks formed communities all over the areas called monasteries. In the opposite, you could say, religious women became nuns, as you see here in the picture, and they formed religious communities of their own called convents. And they had certain rules and regulations and laws that they had to adhere and obeyed by. For example, Paula was a widow who gave up her wealth, and she had wealth, to build churches and hospitals and a convent there in Palestine, former Jewish Israel location there. She also helped translate the Bible into Latin. She believed it was her calling to help spread Christianity. Basil, on the other hand, was a bishop who created a list of rules for the men, or the men's side of this, monks, and really nuns too, called the Basilian rule. That was Basil. Now, Benedict was an Italian monk who created the Benedictine rule for rules for Western monks, because you did have this difference of opinion between Western and Eastern styles of culture and government there. Missionaries are people who teach their religion to those who do not believe. They kind of go out and spread the word of God. And you still have missionary missionaries today that go out on mission trips, some local, some to various parts here in the United States, and then some that go to other countries. But you have to be careful because there are some countries that will not allow this to take place if you enter their country. Cyril was a Byzantine missionary who created the Cyrillic alphabet so Slavic people could read and understand the Bible. All of these ways were really forms to help the spread of Christianity, whether you believe that the Patriarch of Constantinople is the leader of the church, as do the Eastern Orthodox Church, or the Pope, as do the people that live on the western side of the former Roman Empire, known as the Roman Catholic Church there. Christian ideas continue to spread. They spread to north of the Byzantine Empire into Slavic countries and west as far as Britain and Ireland. Eventually, Anglos and Saxons invade Britain and united to form the Anglo-Saxons. The Celts, another group who lived in Britain before the invasion, the Anglos and Saxons, also fled to Ireland. All of these people helped spread the ideas and philosophies of Christianity. And finally, you probably have heard it around the time of March, St. Paddy's Day. Patrick was a priest who brought Christianity to Ireland. And if you look at the pictures below, he also, if you believe this, helped expel all those slithering snakes from the the isle known as Ireland. All right, that will kind of wrap things up today. If you want to think of some essay questions to kind of look over and study as part of this lecture series, who was Paul of Tarsus? Why was he important to the growth of Christian religion? And really explain in detail why the cross is a symbol of Christianity. I'll let you think about that. It may have to do with the resurrection and the crucifixion and then resurrection of Christ. Until next time, until we meet again in our next video series of lectures, I'm Coach Hughes. God bless and roll tide.